Think about it, we've all been there, blindly loving, carelessly serving, and recklessly trusting those who secretly manipulate us with sugar-coated words and false intimacy. Behind every self-righteous concern for our well-being or every heartfelt apology lies a calculated strategy to maintain control and feed their own ego. Perhaps you've seen it in someone you thought you knew, a family member, a friend, a romantic partner whose displays of love and care only intensified right before they betrayed your trust. In this video, we'll dig into the invisible web of self-deception that connects us all, and reveal the dark truth about why we often accept and even crave being manipulated by those who claim to care for us. As we embark on this exploration of the unseen dynamics that govern our relationships, let's acknowledge that love and care have become conveniently malleable terms used to justify emotional manipulation, often shrouding ulterior motives behind a facade of affection. Beneath the surface of these seemingly altruistic sentiments, we find a complex web of insecurities and cravings for validation, as people use love and care as a means to stabilize their sense of self-worth, often at the expense of those around them. What we often perceive as genuine displays of love can be a calculated effort to exert control, to ensure a perpetual sense of attachment, and to maintain a fragile grip on reality, all while masking an unshakable fear of abandonment and rejection. This phenomenon speaks to the deeply ingrained human desire for connection and acceptance, but also to the darker aspects of our psyche, where the fear of being alone or unworthy can lead us to compromise our values and settle for relationships that are fundamentally unbalanced and unsatisfying. Throughout this journey, we'll be confronting a harsh reality that people have a profound capacity for self-deception, often blurring the lines between genuine emotions and fabricated ones. And it's this very ability that allows them to convincingly sell their own narrative, convincing themselves and others of their good intentions. By peeling back the layers of this intricate dance, we'll be forced to confront a question that gets to the very heart of our humanity: what is it that drives us to tolerate such duplicitous behavior, to willingly accept the manipulation, and to settle for the shadowy affection that masquerades as genuine love? People often mistakenly view love and care as the primary drivers behind actions. In reality, it's more about seeking validation and a sense of control that propels them. When we invest in someone we barely know, it's often a desperate attempt to distract ourselves from our own insecurities and the fear of being alone. Love is indeed a powerful tool, and those who wield it do so by exploiting our deepest desires for connection and acceptance. Manipulation often masquerades as genuine affection, and we let it slide because it's less uncomfortable than admitting we're being played. Those who crave control usually stem from a deep-seated fear of loss and a desire to impose order onto chaotic situations, all while maintaining an air of calm, making their tactics that much more difficult to spot. The web of self-deception we weave around ourselves often convinces us that our loved ones are the ones who need saving, when in fact, it's us who are crying out for a rescue from our own insecurities. When we try to manipulate others through fake love and care, we're often masking a deeper need for validation and control, a desperate attempt to prove our own worth to the world and to ourselves. We tend to accept these forms of manipulation because they trigger a release of oxytocin, the so-called love chemical, which can make us feel safe and desired, even if it's an illusion. But beneath the surface, these manipulators are usually driven by a toxic mix of insecurity and ego, using people as a means to prop up their own fragile sense of self-worth. They might claim to be showing love and care, but what they are really searching for is a reflection of their own worth, a constant stream of validation to keep their fragile ego from imploding. We're often so caught up in the thrill of being wanted and loved that we ignore the red flags, the fear, and the discomfort that should be screaming at us to get out. But instead we convince ourselves that we're the ones who are crazy, not them. By pretending to be the caring and loving partner, the manipulator is actually exerting control over the other person, using guilt and obligation to keep them in line, all while masking their true intentions with a veneer of affection. When we accept the unacceptable, it often stems from a deep-seated need for validation, a craving for love and acceptance that leaves us vulnerable to manipulation. The reason we sometimes don't recognize the manipulation is because it's masked as love, care, or concern, and our desire for validation clouded our judgment, making us complicit in our own deception. At its core, the use of love and care as a tool for manipulation is rooted in insecurity, a fear of being alone, a fear of being unlovable, and a desperate need to fill the void within. The ones who often use love and care as a means of control are not the most emotionally intelligent or empathetic people. Rather, they are driven by a fragile ego that requires constant validation and attention. When someone consistently uses the rhetoric of love and care to get what they want, it's a red flag that they are using you as a means to an end, not as an actual person deserving of love and respect. Behind the facade of love and care lies a fundamental truth: we're all drawn to people who make us feel good about ourselves, who give us a sense of validation and control, and often, this is a projection of our own insecurities and fears. People tend to confuse love with a need for validation, which can quickly devolve into manipulation when unexamined. Uncovering the underlying motives behind our actions often reveals a profound sense of insecurity, a desperate search for something to fill the void within. We're often more attracted to the idea of being loved than being truly understood, and this discrepancy can lead to profound distortions in our perception of reality. Self-deception can be a powerful tool for maintaining control over others, as it allows us to deflect accountability and blame the other person for our own actions. The fear of being alone or unloved is a potent driving force behind many of our decisions, even when they ultimately work against our own best interests. When we're operating from a place of ego rather than genuine empathy, our actions can come across as condescending and manipulative, rather than truly caring or loving. Thanks for joining me on this thought-provoking journey, where we dissected the insidious web of self-deception that often masquerades as love and care. I want to hear from you. Share your own observations on how these tactics are used and accepted in your life, by dropping a comment below. And if you're hungry for more insights on the intricacies of human psychology, be sure to hit that subscribe button for new content coming your way.